What's going on, everybody? I would like to make a bit of a review of my MEEPO V3 Standard. This thing is an absolute beast. I have put 117 miles on it, so I can call this my 100-mile review and update. This thing is awesome. It has its fair share of damage. Definitely, if you're going to get into one of these, know that the power unit sleeves are going to look like hell. That's normal. I do drift it around parking lots, though, as a bit of fun. I did melt this. I set the board on fire at one point. Not the board's fault. I just ran it through basically some fire that I had made on the ground. But right now, battery's like 94%. I've ridden this thing maybe like a half a mile since I fired it up, or since I unplugged it. Thing's pretty good, I would tell you. The paint's probably the worst thing about it, and the PUs are gonna look like hell after a while, but you know, that's just a wear item. Go get yourself, go look online. People sell, they sell sleeves for these, or things that you can bolt on to. They're like 3D printed, and bonus if you have a 3D printer, because you can buy the STL file and print it off yourself, and you'll have your own tires for this thing. Pretty sweet. But yeah, no, I've been given no cares about this thing. I've ridden it into, or I've blasted it into a curb by accident at like 15 miles an hour. It took a solid, made a solid dent in the nose of the board. But you know, no real complaints there. Super quality product for 380 bucks when I originally bought it. It was worth every penny, and I actually ended up buying it for $450 because I paid for the express shipping. I needed it for racing event, so I paid a little more to have it air freighted, or whatever they do. I don't really know how they air freight this. It's got a big giant battery in it, but that's their own deal. Paint will look like hell after a bit. Obviously, you can do what you need, your due diligence, to make that look better. Even in like the handle hole, the paint doesn't really stick incredibly, but no complaints as far as build quality goes. The price point, you can't beat it. Tires are great. Durometer on the fronts is great. Has plenty of traction. It's pretty sick when you go through a little bit of mud, though. Under power, it will like totally slip the back end out. You got to be ready for that. I would recommend, if you're going to buy a longboard like this, maybe if it's your first longboard, I'd avoid this. I'd go learn how to ride a longboard or a skateboard, and then go to one of these. The learning curve is really steep. Also, I guess if, let's say this is your first electric skateboard, things to watch out for, okay? So make sure your remote's charged. It sucks when your remote dies mid-ride. You have no control of brakes after that. Nice thing is, when you lose power on the board, you still have brakes. That's super cool. So you have different speed modes. You have low, medium, high, and pro. I totally hate that nomenclature, but what that means is, as far as speeds go, it means you can go 12 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour. The speed 3, or high, actually gives you the full speed of the board, and then speed 4 gives you maximum torque. So probably basically whatever the batteries can give you is whatever it gives you. So this thing will rip right up to 26, 27 miles an hour, rip you right up to that speed on flat ground, no problem. I would say within the first like 50% of the battery. After 50%, it kind of goes downhill. The first probably 2/3 of riding it will be in the first 50% of battery. It's just the way that lithium ion batteries are, the actual battery capacity to the percentage, it's not exactly linear. The first bit of the battery will get you the most range, and then the second half will you get there, but it tapers off in power, and you can definitely feel it. I mean, for an example, I'm a 260-pound rider. I can rip this thing up to 25, 26 miles an hour on a flat surface, no problem, with a full battery. But then as the battery's at like 50%, it really struggles to go faster than like 24 on a flat surface. But I mean, that's totally rider weight dependent, and but you can expect similar results. I totally love this thing for the price, 450 bucks. It was totally worth it. I can kill this thing in 5 miles if I want to. After reading some stuff online, I'd avoid doing extended periods on speed 4, just for the sake of the ESC. Maybe do speed 3. You get a little bit less torque, but I think it might thermally, the reason why I say this is, if you had the extended range version, I think I'd probably burn this thing up. If I had extended range, if I had the extended range model and I can kill this thing in 5 miles. The rated range is 11, but I can kill it in 4.7 miles easily, ripping it around neighborhoods. And the downside to that is the power units and the ESC get extremely hot. So after one solid rip, the PUs are actually too hot to touch, and that's slightly concerning, but just knowing that, I'm a little bit more careful. And I think actually running the board in reverse is better for the heat sinks, because imagine aerodynamically, wind is gonna come across this thing and kind of come around, but it's gonna be hard pressed to go in the gaps here to get into this. So if you ran it backwards, you'd have air coming directly in the heat sinks, and I think that'd be maybe a little bit better for it. But yeah, that's just something to look out for. Don't rip it on full speed if you're a really heavy rider. I mean, you can, but just, you know, don't be stupid with it. Try not to just be wrecking the battery. You can lug it up a solid hill, but let it cool down. It's not these things are not completely indestructible. They do have a pretty good warranty, 6 months. I have read some stuff online. They're a little harder to deal with warranty stuff, but I think that, you know, that's a case-by-case thing. I've had no issues with quality, and I don't think it'll have any issues with quality. I definitely beat it up. You can see I got rock chips everywhere. My power units are pretty hammered. But as a board, as a beginner board, as a first electric skateboard for me, I think this thing is incredible, and I'm definitely going to be ripping this thing around quite a bit more. I will update you guys on the mileage. Right now I'm obviously at 117 miles, but I'd love to see if I could get like 1,000 miles out of this thing. I don't do anything to keep it nice. I just toss it in my car. I'll do my due diligence and replace my power units if they ever, or I'll get some sleeves for these, or I'll do what I need to do there. I'll keep the maintenance up on it, and I'll clean it and stuff. This thing's pretty gross right now. I ripped it through a mud puddle at like 20 miles an hour. I thought it was going to be cool, but I ended up looking like somebody rode past a bus stop and blasted water all over me. It was pretty funny, but the quality's great for the price, and I've ripped it over curbs and over, I've run it over plenty of things that I'm sure people would cringe at, but I've hit plenty of speed bumps with the battery. There's plenty. I've taken it apart. I've looked inside of it. It had a little bit of a rattle, so I tightened all my screws. The screws on the deck actually protrude a little bit, so I tightened them all so where they sat flush. So I'm sure somebody will like rip me apart in the comments for that, but all my stuff is flush now. It all looks super cool. I've let plenty of people ride it. They love it. Definitely a board that you can let other people ride. You can just turn the speed and brake down, so they're prepared for it, and people are really impressed by it. It'll get you all the girls. Cannot vouch for that because I had my girl before I got this. But yeah, ride's really good. Rough terrain can get a little sketchy, but it's just a longboard. At the end of the day, it's a longboard. It just has power. So low, medium, high. High will give you full speed, but not full torque. I recommend that. And definitely work yourself up to full braking mode. It's not that it stops too hard. It's that you got to get used to the dexterity of the electric controls. When you go from full brake, if you just do that, dude, you'll go bite it. You'll bite it. That's where you'll learn you'll learn the finesse of control and stuff like that. And me being just generally stupid, and if I switch hands, I've screwed up and given it gas when I meant to brake, and I've had the board fly out from under me. It is what it is, but it's been pretty good. Definitely rip it around on lower speeds, and definitely put like 10 miles on it. Work yourself up. Definitely work yourself up to it. Even if you are an electric skateboard rider, if you've had something fast like a boosted board, this isn't anything to you. But if you've only ever ridden one once or something, work yourself up. Put 5 or 10 miles on each speed. My first ride, I was up on speed 4, brake 4, but I've definitely like nearly eaten it a couple times just from screwing myself up on the brakes and throttle. And it's not that slows down too fast. It's when you release the brakes, so you go from full brake to coasting. That's where you got to be ready for the balancing adjustment and stuff like that. But I wrapped this thing up. It's been an amazing board for the 450 bucks. I think it's worth it. Out of all the things I've ever spent $400 on, I think this is probably the most gratifying. Every time I ride it, it's just a blast. I've ridden in plenty of fast cars, but there's nothing like being that close to the ground on a skateboard, ripping 20 miles an hour. It's hilarious going up hills at 20 miles an hour past people walking. It's super awesome. It's pretty great. I love this board. I will have it for a long time, and I am looking in the future if MEEPO wants to give me a deal on an all-wheel drive Pro, or at least maybe give me a deal on the shipping. I would love it. I'll do whatever. I'll make my review of that too. If I will inevitably go that route, but it would be cool to get some kind of a deal on one. It's mainly just that it's an $800 board, and they did drop their price on it, but the shipping is ridiculous. The shipping comes out to like $150. I don't really, it mind boggles. It really, I mean, Canada or China Post, I mean, this thing was 40 bucks or 50 bucks more to ship, but I don't know why the all-wheel drive one's got to be so much. Definitely something I'm looking into after ripping around this one. And for me, it's the fact that I'm a heavy rider, and I would enjoy I'd maybe say that the brakes could be a little bit better. It's like when you're ripping up to a stop sign, you're stopping distance. You can definitely accelerate faster on this thing than you can slow down. That's for sure. Coming up to a stop sign, being a 260 pound rider, it's a little tough coming up to stop signs, but you learn, you live, you do what you can. Anyways, this was my review. Love it for the money. It's totally worth it. It will be something that you will enjoy for plenty of years, and I'll update you guys as the mileage goes on this thing. First 117 miles down, and I plan to rip this thing for a long time. But anyways, thanks for watching. Hopefully I was a little bit insightful on anybody getting into these things. Message me in the comments if you have any questions, and I will see you guys later. Have a great day.